Spinning the ball is one of the hardest things to do around the green, but it's one of the most valuable assets you can have to your game. Now, I know it's pretty hard, but I've got one of the best men in the game to teach us all about it, Dan Grieve. Let's go see him now. Right then, I'm joined by Dan Grieve, and what better person to ask about spin than yourself, if I may say. It's something I think a lot of golfers would love to have in their arsenal, and something that's really useful. How do we do it though?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, golfers just love that shot, the one that goes in and grabs, and see the tour players playing it all the time. The first thing you really understand, it's all about creating friction.
Okay.
It's all about creating friction. So a lot of that is to do with the ground conditions that you've got and the equipment you're using. And I think it's really important. We're out here in Hawaii, we're playing off Bermuda grass, it's dry, receptive greens, okay, so everything's set up here to spin. But if we're back home at the moment and it's really wet and muddy, okay, you're going to lose a lot of that friction, because when you get moisture between the ball and the club face, you don't get the ball jumping into those grooves. It doesn't stick in there, you don't get the spin. So important to make sure you're using good clubs, good premium wedges with clean grooves, and a premium golf ball as well. I'm using a TP5 ball there. Very soft ball, ideal for creating spin. I
think keeping those grooves clean is one. I'm a killer for it. I don't do it while I'm playing, then come the 18th hole, I'm wondering why my chips aren't checking up.
And it's also when people are practicing as well, because people hit several shots and you start getting the green sort of gunk in the grooves there, and they're wondering why the ball's coming out of less spin. Or it also launches higher. It goes higher when you have when you lose the friction as well. So when you practice as well, just make sure the grooves stay clean.
So there's your equipment, and getting that right. That's the first step. Let's talk setup, shall we? And how you need to actually stand to a ball. We're going to come and hit a sort of long, spinny shot in a minute. So how would you be standing up for that?
For the back pin there.
That little back pin.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite an interesting shot because it's uphill, and I don't know if you can quite get it on camera or not, but it then goes downhill. The pin's about 6 feet over that ledge. Now, I do think, in terms of creating spin, I think a lot of amateurs like to play it, but I think a lot of players would sometimes in this situation they come up with spin too much and you wouldn't get over that hill. So you've got to make sure you're picking the right shot at the right time. That's really important, right? But let's assume that you want to give this a go. You want to fire it in low and get that spin so it goes up but it doesn't feed too hard the other side. What you really want to be doing here is making contact. You want to get those grooves on the ball.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's what I call a release one. So it's a chip and run style shot. So I do encourage a release with the action. So the release basically is how the club head swings through the ball here. So I talk about how the butt of the grip is going to finish somewhere near that front hip in the follow through. So you want to feel like your ratio between the backswing to the follow through is longer back, shorter through, and it's a nice short finish here, which allows you to trap the ball, get the flight low and get that friction up and get the spin rate up.
Brilliant. I think that's pretty easy for people to digest that as well. And this shot is a real tricky little one.
It's a tough one.
So now we've spoken about it, let's see it. Let's see it in action, because I think it's the kind of shot you want to play on this shot. And if you can grab a little spin, you're going to make all your mates quite jealous of you, I think.
Indeed, absolutely. Which is what it's all about, isn't it?
Show us the way.
Just on setup though, Dan, I think a couple of things. Just making sure that grip pressure is so important. If you get tight with the grip, the ball will jump off. And I really think 99% of amateur golfers grip it way too tight.
Strangle it too hard.
Way too tight. If I've taught, I know, tens of thousands of golfers, I don't think I've ever told anybody to grip it tighter, ever.
Okay.
All right, so I think grip pressure is huge, and I'm going to lighten my grip here to try and get the spin. But the key here is getting the flight low. It's got to go low, okay? You can do this with 56, 58, even a 60. But obviously, the more loft you use it can be hard for some people to keep it down. But I'm going to use a 60 here, okay? I'm going to play the ball position just on the back foot, a little bit of shaft lean, but I'm still going to release the club head.
Yeah.
A bit of check to hold that down slope. It's a lovely low flighted shot. You can see it's just spinning nicely to hold that slope there at the top. And
that was the right club to play with a bit of loft, because 7 or an 8 iron probably would have carried on down that little down slope.
I mean, in many ways, you could say, you could argue, look, a 7 or 8's the easy shot, and I do totally agree, and I teach it all the time. But if that pin was another 10 feet on, I'd say it's an 8 iron.
Yeah.
But with that pin literally just 3-4 feet over that ledge there, and you want to get it close, you've got to check it like that, yeah.
Brilliant. So that's the sort of longer chip shot I think we get a lot on the golf course, and some really easy things to go and work on there. Dan, let's go and have a look at a slightly more delicate one close to the green.
Sure,
and see how we get on. Right, and Dan, good job on that one. We've come to a short-sided one here now, and what are things to have in your arsenal? Short-sided little spinny one, because I think some golfers get a bit twitchy, a bit scared here. So can you talk us through that and how we're going to get a bit of spin and a bit of check and control this kind of shot here?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we know the greens are pretty firm. there's not that much green to work with. You've got this quite sticky Bermuda grass here before the green, so you could putt it, but it would be very difficult to judge that.
Yeah.
You know, so really the shot here, if you want to get this up and down, is to carry it onto the green, a little bit of check, and just let it feed to the hole there. Okay, so I'd really recommend moving more into what I call a release 2, so that's where the butt of the grip starts to point somewhere near the belt buckle, just after the ball. Okay, and that's going to help transfer the energy there from the grip to the club head, impart a little bit more spin, and just get that coming off really soft. Okay, and just spinning until it just feeds out nice and soft. The lie is absolutely vital to look at in this situation. If you had you know, a tight lie and you didn't really feel like you could work the bounce under the ball, obviously the bounce here is the sole of the club and how that works this way. If it was firm, for example, it would bounce and it would thin. So we're blessed here, out here in Hawaii, that the lies are great, so we can play this.
That's
shot.
an important thing that I think is analysing the lie. A lot of golfers will go, right, get my 60 degree out and whip under it.
Yeah,
sometimes
totally.
it doesn't work.
The lie dictates the shot.
Yeah,
totally. So I was talking about in short game, you've got 50% what I call golfing IQ, okay, your golfing intelligence, and it's 50% technique.
Yeah,
and you it has to start with the ability to read the lie, because the lie tells you what shot, and more importantly what shot you can't play.
Okay.
So here I've got the green light to play this soft landing, spinning, release 2 shot, but if I didn't, if it was tight, I'd have to explore other options, which might be the putter, it might be a hybrid, or whatever it might be.
Hybrid's a good shout, maybe. So lastly then, before we get you to hit this shot, how would you encourage people to get the confidence to hit a shot like that with a decent amount of pace on the ball and a decent bit of club head speed? Yeah. Because they'd be a bit scared of thinning it or doing this and that. Well, how are you going to get people into that?
Well, you don't need to be perfect to play this shot. You've actually got quite a big margin of error because you are using the bounce and feeding it through this way. Even if you catch it a little bit before the ball, you know, you've actually got quite a big margin. So, I mean, I'll try and duff one here on purpose and show you. So I've hit that 5 inches behind the ball.
And you just hold it.
There we go. That's obviously the way to do it, all right? So there shouldn't be anything to be scared of.
Before we carry on, is Dan Grieve's top tip to duff them?
Well, I mean, seriously, I mean, if you try and aim behind the ball, the bounce is going to work as long as you're releasing it.
And it's all about that release point.
And it comes off great. And I hope most golfers are able to hit within 5 inches of the ball. That's all you've got to do if the bounce is on.
Go on then, let's give us a proper look at that then, a proper look at release 2.
So we'll play this, and so I'm going to work it this way. Nice light grip pressure, let's feed it through. A little bit nearer the ball this time. There's a little more check there, you see, and that's holding it. Yeah. So one more, I'm going to turn through this one a little bit better. It's important once you make contact, just to make sure the chest keeps moving as well.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of players I see, they kind of play and they almost keep the head down too long. So make sure when you play, even as you're watching the ball, make sure you're still moving your chest.
Very nice. That one pulled up nicely as well.
Yeah. So you're moving this way past impact.
Really good tips there, Dan, thank you. I think 2 chip shots there, that if you can impart a bit of spin on the ball, short-sided, from a long way away, your short game's going to tighten up. You're going to drop shots. You're going to be a better golfer.
Hopefully. Have more fun. Short game's fun.
And, top tip, duff them. So, massive thanks to Dan Grieve there. Some brilliant tips about how you can spin the ball when the conditions suit, impress you and impress your mates, I think, with stuff like that. Huge thanks to him for joining us today, and a massive thanks to Adidas Golf for having us out here in Hawaii. But for now, see you next time.